The U.S. has launched a groundbreaking initiative that could pave the way for a colossal shift in U.S. refugee policy.
This is a major change because Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced a pilot program that would allow Americans to financially sponsor the resettlement of refugees. Secretary Blinken called the so-called Welcome Corps initiative, quote, the boldest innovation in refugee resettlement in decades. Less than a dozen nonprofits with federal funding have resettled the majority of refugees brought to the U.S. for the past several years. Refugees arriving under the sponsorship initiative will be eligible for permanent legal status and ultimately U.S. citizenship.
Joining us now to discuss this, CBS News immigration reporter Camila Montoya Galvez there in our Washington bureau. Always great to see you, Camilo. Give us some more of the details of this program. It sounds innovative, but what does this mean? So if there's someone watching now who wants to be one of these private citizens sponsoring a refugee, how would that happen?
Hi, Earl and Lana. This really is a major change in U.S. refugee and resettlement policy. Under this program, which is really modeled after a longstanding system in Canada, groups of at least 5 American citizens or permanent legal residents will be able to sponsor refugees if they raise enough money, pass background checks, and develop a plan describing how they will help these newcomers. Approved sponsors will then be responsible for helping these refugees during their first 90 days here in the U.S. financially, and they will be in charge of helping these refugees enroll children in schools and secure basic necessities like housing, food, jobs, and other public benefits and basic necessities. That's the key change in this program, that it will allow private citizens to replace the traditional refugee resettlement agencies that have historically resettled the vast majority of refugees fleeing war and violence who have been resettled here in the U.S. And the administration really hopes, Lana and Errol, that this will reduce the pressure on the government and on these resettlement agencies and allow groups like churches and diaspora communities to really step up and directly welcome refugees here in the U.S. And lastly, this is really the latest effort by the Biden administration to expand legal migration opportunities for refugees and migrants who have sponsors here in the U.S. Under a program launched last year, more than 100,000 Ukrainians with U.S. sponsors have been able to come here since the Russian invasion of their homeland.
Yeah, it's really a fascinating idea. I know that there are a lot of churches and civic groups and synagogues, et cetera, that have been interested in helping out. But now it's making it official and taking the responsibility off of people who maybe don't want, who feel like they don't want to be sponsoring these refugees through their tax dollars. But how many people is the U.S. government hoping, or how many sponsors, rather, is U.S. government hoping to actually solicit? Because the number of people crossing over is significant.
That's a critical question. The State Department is hoping to recruit at least 10,000 American citizens to sponsor and resettle 5,000 refugees during the first year of this program. We know that refugees are now coming to the U.S. with some of these processes, and they will be able to get that assistance from private sponsors starting in April. Once this refugee process is expanded, prospective sponsors will actually get the ability to identify refugees overseas whom they want to sponsor and help them resettle here in the U.S. But for this initial stage, prospective sponsors, Lana and Errol, will be matched with refugees who are already in the resettlement pipeline and who are ready to come here to the U.S. Right now, if you are interested in learning more about this process and potentially sponsoring a refugee, you can go to welcomecorps.org and find out more about this process.
Really interesting. We'll have to see how it works. All right, Camilo, thank you.